Good day. Nick from Vulcan Gun Refinishing here. We got another interesting job in the shop today, and another repeat U.S. customer. I did a job for this fellow last year from Connecticut, Jeff in Connecticut. I did a 1943 Ithaca for him, and now he shipped me something else to restore, rebuild, refinish, whatever you want to call it. You can see in the detailed description of contents that there's a firearm in there. So, no problem getting them over the border as long as we do the paperwork. So this comes from the exporter I use is Sones Gnome Incorporated in Tacoma, Washington. So the gun has to be shipped to him from you, and then he takes care of all the paperwork and ships it on to me. And then once I'm done repairing it or whatever, I ship it back to him, and then he ships it to you. So it all moves pretty smooth now. We've done this on a few now. I believe this is the 5th time that we've had guns come over the border, and never been a problem. Let me get this box open and we'll see what's inside. I opened up the box and pulled out this plastic case, and inside we got ourselves a nice 1918 Colt. So it's just some paperwork here from the exporter, the customer's information on there. So, but here's the unit itself, the beautiful 1918 Colt. It's got a few, a few little issues with it. That's why it's here. I mean, overall, it's pretty nice, but it's got some rust starting in a few places. We're going to go over it in detail here in a couple of minutes. And anyway, it's got some rust starting in a few places, some rust pits, and I know that's going to be, it's a little rust scab actually, so there's going to be pits underneath that. So no matter how much you oil it and clean it, it's just going to keep eating away into this gun. So you're only doing it a favor by refinishing it. But anyway, I'm going to get this out of the case and get it laid out a little bit better, and we'll have a little closer look at it. We got our 1918 Colt out of its box and got it laid out here. We can have a good look at it. I ran the serial number on it, and for sure it's a 1918. So it's got really good lettering. You know, the finish is thin. We can see it doesn't have a whole lot of bluing left on certain sections of it. But it's got really, really nice lettering. Look at how sharp that horse is, nice and crisp. So it's a gun that obviously has never been refinished. It's got very nice serrations, a couple minor little issues there at the back, but I can fix that. And you can see, I think the lighting should be able to show. You can still see a lot of the original graining in the metal. So this thing has really not been very abused at all. But I just love that lettering. We won't be compromising any of that lettering. That's nice, and there's no pitting or very, very, very little. I mean, once we bead blast it, we'll have a better idea. Appears to have the original front sight on it. The top's getting a little thin and a little bit of, discoloration up there. So once we bead blast that, we may uncover a little bit of rust and a little bit of pitting, I mean, it's brown there for a reason. Right here, you can see it's brown. So what does brown tell us, Any idea? Gee, I wonder what else looks like it's brown, reddish brown color. But there's no rust on my gun. So we'll get that all blasted and cleaned up and see more brown in there. Rear sight, it's the proper rear sight. That looks good. There's no major dents or bangs in that. It's got the, let's see, let me have a look at this over here. I believe it's got the proper, yeah, it's got the proper HP barrel, so that's nice. I've got serrations on this side. You can see that original finish in there just falling off. You can see it on the serrations. How it's just flaking off of there. You can see the graining in the metal quite good there. So we'll make sure that we put nice, fresh, crisp graining in there when it gets re-blued. Once again, on this side, the markings are just absolutely beautiful. So we've got a really nice one to start with here. Some would even question why refinish it, that it's a travesty to refinish such a nice gun. And it is a nice gun, I'm not arguing, it is a nice gun, but you can just see that rust up there. Well, they all call it patina, but you know, I've worked on them for years now, and when you bead blast that, it's rust. It's that simple. We've kept it smooth. Everybody's kept it smooth by oiling it and rubbing it and blah blah blah. So it's just discoloration, that's all it is, but it's really not. And when I bead blast that, then all of a sudden you can see all the pitting in the metal. So I've learned. All the edges are nice and sharp on this thing. It's just really nice to handle it. Just checking that lower, you know, the dust cover there. That all looks pretty good. You know, very little damage to the metal here as far as dents and dings. You know, just minor. I see a little bit of activity, something going on there around the mag catch right there. There's a little burr in the metal, a little cut in the metal right there. So I have to clean that up. But and a little bit of buggering up around those rear holes. You can see that they're chewed up a little bit, so I'll have to clean that up a bit. Really makes you wonder what people do to these things. The grips look beautiful, very nice looking, original looking type grips. So I haven't counted the checking or anything to determine if they're exactly the right grips, the right type grips or whatever. We know by that serial number. Shield that a little bit. 491014. So we know for sure that that's 1918. So once again, just a little bit of, you know, isolated little spots of where it's turning brown. You can see the graining in the metal there. It all looks nice. Been a well-maintained gun. But under there you can see a few places where you can see right there where I guarantee you when I bead blast that, that's going to be rust. Absolutely guarantee it's going to be rust. So same with there. I know it looks just like a little discoloration, but got the right trigger. It's got the right grip safety. It's got the proper mainspring housing with a lanyard loop. I haven't checked it for any markings yet. The mag is the proper two-tone type. I checked it a little earlier and there's no markings on the toe there at all, so I don't know what this should have had. I'll have to research that a little bit better, but I can refinish it and re-two-tone it. Got a dent there. Let's see if I can get that dent now. There's a pretty good dent there at the bottom. I won't be getting that one out. Maybe could have got this one out, but definitely can't get that one out. It's too far to the bottom. But we can still refinish it and make it look better. It's got the graining in it, like they should have. So it's the right type of mag. Could be the one that came with it. We don't know. But it's a pretty good looking mag. That'll refinish nicely. As far as everything else, we've got the right looking safety, thumb safety back there. It's got the thick nub, and it's got checkering on it. Yeah, very nice. And it looks to be in quite nice shape. You can see the nice graining on it there on the back side of it right there. I like the look of that. So I'll make sure that we maintain that. It'll look just like that when it's done. So this one does not have that extra little square undercut under here that a lot of them do. The earlier ones had a little square undercut where the so your thumb piece was almost like a separate little square chunk. But later in the war they just rounded, just blended here right into there. So you don't have that sharp little line on the bottom there like you did on a lot of them. So that's correct. Got the proper type of slide stop with the undercut on the bottom right here. The World War II ones do not have that, or the A1 type, I guess, does not have that. It's checkered as it should be. And we already talked about the trigger. That's proper. It's got a nice inspector's cartouche right there. Let's see if we can get a good focus on our camera. There we go. So it's S17 on that one. I've seen other markings on different pistols. Once again, you can see that nice graining. A little bit of a newbie scratch there, right here. Too bad we always get that, eh? The mag catch is pretty beat up. I'm going to be replacing that mag catch button. That's pretty. That checkering's pretty hammered. So, but everything else along here, you know, looks good. You know, all our edges, all our lines are nice and sharp. So nothing's ever been blued or polished. The United States property is stamped really quite deep. It actually imprinted the metal. It actually caved the metal in a little bit. And the stamping is much sharper at the top than it is at the bottom. It's a little bit more faded. If I get a good shot there, you can see it's just a little bit more faded on the bottom than it is on the top. So I'll have to be careful when I do my graining to try to get in there without making it look funny. Because the way the metal was pushed in when this is stamped, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get in there and grain that. It's much easier to grain flat metal than it is to grain metal that's caved in or concave. Everything under there looks nice. You can see all the nice graining on that. It's exactly how it should be. Underneath there looks good. Just a little bit of rust starting. You can see a little bit of, tiny bit of rust. So once we bead blast, that'll clean that up really nice. And once again, it's got the proper, you know, the graining runs this way up and down here, but yet back and forth here. Let me get up a little closer, you can see that. So it's kind of a nice contrast. You can see that nice, how it goes in two different directions. So I'll make sure that I maintain that properly. You can see all the graining on the or on the trigger guard right there. So I'll make sure that I duplicate that. So all the graining goes inside the trigger opening like it should. So it's going to be a nice one. I like doing the graining on these. But everything looks good. I don't see any big ugly scabs, just some soft, you know, soft little bit of corrosion starting, nothing horrible. So got the proper wide spur hammer on it. So yeah, so everything looks good on it. Everything looks proper. So it's going to be a nice one to do. Underneath isn't bad. No big corrosion. So overall, it's quite nice. Just like I say, just mostly that grip strap, that's going to be rust. And no matter how often you would clean and oil that, you would not accomplish anything. The rust would just eat its way down. You're keeping it from standing up, but it's just going to eat its way down. So you're not, by not restoring it or refinishing it, you're doing it a disservice. Anyway, so that looks good. Initial review of it is good. I'm very, very happy with what he sent me. He took his time. We worked together on this one, and he sent me pictures of various pistols, and this was the one that we decided to go with. Let's see if I can get a bit of a shot of the graining on the end there. Move my camera up a little bit, and then maybe we can get a good shot of that. Yeah. The ring looks good there. That the plunger spring tube looks good. The cap there looks good. No problem. So no, I'm quite happy with the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing torn down, and we'll check it on the inside for all the correct parts or whatever, and we're going to get it bead blasted, and we're going to get going on this one. So we got one here that's going to be a real beauty. I'm eager to start on this one, and it shouldn't take us long to do on this one, very much time to do this one, because we really don't have any great metal repair to do. We don't have to send it out and get it welded or annealed. I see some gouging in the metal right there. See some scratches on the slide right there. So that's no big deal to file that out of there. Overall, like I say, it's very, very nice. It's very little bit of damage. One thing I did notice that we're going to fix, when I said we were going to do no welding, I forgot something. Let me show this to you a little bit that I discovered right away. It's got like almost a chip in the metal right here. Little chip, looked like been there since day one almost. And a couple more smaller ones right here. So I'm going to get that built up with weld, and I don't know if you can see that very well. If I can get a good focus on that, you might be able to see that. Yeah, there it is. So it's like where the metal's eaten away a little bit, just in front of the slide stop. see it right there. So we'll get that cleaned up, built up with weld, and then we can make that area perfect. Because otherwise, you know, that's going to look pretty bad once she's all done. So we'll get that done. That's the only welding this one needs. So we'll go ahead and get going on that. I'll get it torn down and get it bead blasted, and we'll have a better look at it. But I'm eager to get going on this one. So it's a thrill to work on these ones. So thanks, Jeff in Connecticut. We'll get back to you. Alright, so we've torn down this 1918 Colt and degreased everything. We even boiled the wood for the first time. And everything is just in beautiful, beautiful condition. This gun has been so well maintained and taken care of. It's going to be a treat to refinish this. So everything inside looked just as good as the outside did. Just, you know, a little bit of finish wear, but no rust. Nothing's rusted. Everything's been well oiled. Nothing's worn. All the parts are still nice and sharp. Edges of everything are good. The screw heads, I think I saw a couple that were a little bit buggered up, but we'll clean those up. That won't be a problem. We'll get all those cleaned up. The grips turned out really nice. We graved the grips one boil already, and you can see just how nice and how a lot of the little marks popped out already. We'll give them one more boil before we're done, but they'll come out just excellent. We'll stain them, and they'll look just beautiful. So I'm happy those turned out so good. The mag, two-tone, we'll redo that. We'll re-two-tone it. So no big surprises inside. Everything's good. There was no rust under the grips at all. The metal is just absolutely perfect. So I'm real happy with that. There's no pitting under the grips whatsoever. So no surprises on this one. So just the usual, like I say, we knew about the grip strap and stuff anyway, so that's no big deal. But where the grips go is just gorgeous. That's usually pitted underneath there, but someone's taken good care of this thing. They've maintained it from day one. So everything looks good. The sear, all the contact points on the hammer are nice and sharp, so it's all good. Everything's good. I test fired this thing and it ran like a top. So there's been a little bit of polishing done to a couple pieces. I noticed the end of the extractor, someone's fiddled with that a little bit, so I'll make sure when I test fire it. I mean, an easy piece to change should it present a problem, but if it doesn't work properly, I'll just swap it out for another one. But it's got all the right parts. There's nothing wrong, nothing missing. So we're going to go ahead and now that's all degreased, we've had a good look at it. I'm happy. Now we can go ahead and bead blast everything. And once it's bead blasted, I'll give you another look at it. And then we'll start repairing any little pits or dings or marks in it, and we'll grain it. So this one shouldn't take too long. We should be able to wrap this one up within a couple of weeks. All right, we got our 1918 Colt all bead blasted, and very happy with the results. The metal is in really, really good shape for being almost 100 years old. There was a few areas we were a little worried about, and there's some minor pitting starting, so it's a good thing that we caught this when we did. If it would have been left alone, it would have just kept eating its way down into the metal. I'm just going to look at some of these pieces individually and see if we can have a little bit better look at them. Get that stuff out of the background. The frame itself, let me put this down here. The frame itself is beautiful. Just a couple minor areas on the grip strap that we were a little bit suspicious of, but let me see if I can get a good focus right there. And definitely, okay, you can see a little bit of corrosion if I move this up a little bit closer. Get a good shot of that, get some cooperation from our camera. Here we go. There we go. Now you can see that. You can see the pitting on the grip strap right there. So it's a good thing we took care of that. You can see it right there, that pitting. That would have just eaten its way down. If we move along, there's another spot right there that's kind of, I don't know what it is, a little cut in the metal. Let's see if I can get a little better view here. A little cut in the metal right there. You can see that plain as day. And like I say, that pitting right there. But Boy, for being 100 years old, it's one of the nicest ones. A little bit of pitting right there, but it's a beauty, an absolute beauty. A little bit of damage around the mag catch hole there. I don't know what they were doing there, but I'll clean that up. That's no big deal. But everything's nice and sharp. Look how nice the serial number and everything is. You can still see a little bit of the original graining in the metal there. Look how sharp all these lines are. They're just beautiful. Mind you, you can see how crooked that line is. That's funny. How it wavers up and down. They must have been in a hurry when they built this one. But I can straighten that up as I'm repairing it. I'll make that line nice and straight. So there's our United States property. It's fairly deep. It's just been stamped a little bit crooked. The stamp was tilted more towards the top than the bottom when they did it. But it's still a good, strong stamp. So I don't believe we're going to have to do any engraving. Just got to be careful when I do my my graining that I don't jeopardize that at all, compromise it. But other than that, move my way along. You can see everything looks good. Plunger tube looks good. There's no issues or damage there. Got a little bit of something going on right there, but that's nothing too severe. A couple marks right at the very back of the plunger tube. We can clean all that up. Couple little minor little nicks along the edge, but boy, not bad compared to most of the ones that I do. This one is one of the nicest that I've ever done, and it's one of the oldest, so it's funny. Just shows you when something gets taken care of, how well it can survive. A few little minor nicks right here, but a little bit right there, but nothing much. We can really mint this thing out. This is the early one with those heart-shaped cutouts. That first one I've actually worked on, they had the heart-shaped cutouts. So yeah, you could see where you could get a little bit injured playing with this thing. Those corners are real sharp. The inspector's mark is just beautiful. It's just crisp as could be. We don't have to do anything there. That inspector's or machinist mark on the trigger guard looks like 56. That's looking good. No other markings I can see. No. So that's good. It doesn't have a whole lot of markings we got to worry about. So that's it for the frame. I mean, that's beautiful. That frame is really nice. There's no pitting inside. So it's been a well-maintained gun. You can see some of the graining there. A little bit of roughness in the metal on those horns. We can clean that up, straighten that up. So I'm happy with that. If we look at the slide is just gorgeous. A couple minor marks there in the serrations that we knew about, but look at that lettering. The lettering is perfect. We don't have to worry about anything there. And you see there's no pitting in there. Got that one issue right there, that chip in the metal right there by the slide stop. We've got to get that welded. And another little thing right there, but that's very minor. We'll send that out today and get that welded. A little bit of pitting right up here at the very front. But overall, a couple little dings and dents here and there. But once again, for being 100 years old, it's phenomenal. Just beautiful. Boy, I sure like getting them like this. The ones I usually work on, they're quite a chore. A little bit of activity going on around that rear dovetail. We'll straighten that up. And then, oh yeah, and there they are. I noticed earlier when I looked at the gun, it had these little few scratches in there, but we can clean that up. We'll get that out of there. So serration work on that side. Back end is beautiful. Little tiny ding right up there, but that's easy to fix. Serrations on this side are gorgeous. Wow, I don't think there's a mark there. Well, maybe a little. I see a little ding right up there by my thumbnail, right there on that edge. But a couple passes with a file. Once again, the markings on this side are just gorgeous. Got a little chip right there, a little cut in the metal. A couple more on that edge right there, but very easily repaired. I see a lot of these early ones. They knock that corner off when they're doing these slides. They bevel that corner. So it's interesting how the different machinists worked on them. Usually they're pretty flat, and that corner is usually fairly sharp. But whoever was on the belt sander or whatever that day was having a fun time. And we've got some nice graining at the front there. So We had to take the front sight off, unfortunately, just so we'd be able to work on that slide. It's in the way, so I'll fabricate and install a new front sight. So all the other parts are good. The hammer, everything. There's no pitting. Got nice graining, so that's going to come out nice. Mainspring housing is beautiful. A couple minor little marks in it, but gee, for what it is, just gorgeous. You know what these are usually like. A little bit of issue right there, a couple little marks, but once again that'll all clean up in just minutes. We've got the grip safety. Once again, all the parts are correct. Got all the right stuff in it, so this is in beautiful shape. A couple little marks along the along that edge right there, so I can clean that out. A couple more on that side, but overall very nice. You know, the main part of it looks good. That'll all clean up. I'll regrain all that. The magazine, this was a two-tone magazine, and it's got the pinned bottom, so that's the right type of mag. There's no markings at all on this mag. I don't think there's even anything on the toe, is there? No, there's nothing on the toe. So may or may not be the right one, not sure. It was two-tone, so it looked like the right type, but I'll research that a little bit better and see what markings should be on that. And we got our thumb safety, beautiful. This is the slightly later type, doesn't have the undercut under there, but everything else looks good. No pitting. I can clean that up in a hurry. Plug, or the recoil spring plug, looks good. The checkering on the front all looks nice. It's quite acceptable. The one thing I did notice that had some buggered up checkering that I'm going to be changing is the that mag release. Although it looks better now that it's been blasted, it does look quite a bit better. I'll have a closer look at that. I've got lots of these in stock, so I may change it, may not. If it looks good, we'll leave it, but if a little bit of glass in it, otherwise we'll replace it. So that's nice, good. What else we got? We got the trigger. Trigger's good. A couple little minor marks in it, but no pitting really. Once again, very nice piece. Everything in this gun is nice. What else we got? Oh, we got the barrel. Yeah, it's an important thing to have the right barrel, and this one's got the right barrel. It's an HP, so it's a rare barrel. I don't really see any other markings other than, you know, an inspector or machinist mark, but no other military. There's no P on these, just the HP. The bore in it is, well, it's not great. It's the strong lands and grooves are pretty good, but it's a little bit frosted just from, you know, age and corrosive ammo, but still got good strong lands and grooves. So that's the main thing. Pretty hard to find a mint one of these considering the type of ammo they were using. What else we got? The bushing, barrel bushing, that's nice. No real issues there. Clean that up in a hurry, regrain it. Slide stop, once again, really nice, excellent. Just got the proper undercut, it's the right type. Put a little bit of graining on this face, so that'll clean up good. And everything else, you know, it's got the proper rear sight with a small U-notch in it. I'll clean that up. It's pretty good shape. Just got a couple little minor bangs on the edges and stuff, but we'll clean that up and grain it. That's good. All the grip screws, we'll check them over, and if we have to clean a couple up, clean the slots up, rebuff the heads on it, we'll get that all done, make them look nice. So the bushings, we may reuse the bushings or we may not. These are, once again, military staked bushings, so they were difficult to get out of there, and they're real difficult to put back in. But usually if you take a thread or two off this top, just grind this down a little bit, you can get past the flared part and you can get the bushing back in, and you've still got quite a few threads to hold it in there, even if you eliminate the one thread at the end. So I may reuse these, so I'll see. They came out, you know, without really damaging them, so maybe I can reuse them, I'm hoping. Just trying to get that first thread started, that's the hard part. But what else we got? That's really about it. We got your firing pin stop, which that's fine, there's no issues there. So overall, no quite happy with it. It's going to be a fun project. It's not going to involve too much. There's no great metal repair. We've just got that little tiny bit of welding to do just on that spot on the slide right there, that little edge right there, and a couple little chips up there. But other than that, no weld, no engraving, no heat treating. So this one should go fairly smooth. So we'll get going on this one, and we'll keep you posted as we're moving along. Well, we're making good progress on this 1918 Colt. This is the one in from Connecticut. We've got the frame. I'm going to move the camera over a little bit so that it doesn't have to focus on all these items. The frame I've basically just roughed in. I've taken it to 100 grit. Actually, no, 180 grit. And I've just cleaned it up a bit. I haven't put any graining in it yet. I've just gone around, and there were a few odd little, not many, but there were a few odd little, you know, dings and little tiny abrasions in the metal. There was a bit of pitting. We knew that. That's the biggest reason why the customer decided to go ahead and restore this. Was it had pitting starting. It had surface rust and pitting starting in the frame. In fact, it looks like a little spot right there. I'm going to spend just a touch more time on right there. I can see it right there. It's a little bit mark right there still. But anyway, like I say, I'm just kind of trying to clean this up, get it roughed in. Then I'll go ahead and grain it. Just wanted you to see how it's coming along good. It was such a nice example to start with that it didn't take much to really get it, you know, to a decent point. And we've saved all of the nomenclature. There's nothing faded. That looks excellent. I don't think there's anything else on this side. The inspector's mark. You can see how nice that looks. A little bit of dirt in the metal or whatever. And it's not pitting. It's just dirt in the metal. Like I say, we're not done yet anyway, but you can see that inspector's mark was preserved very well. And United States property, that's nice. It's stamped heavy on the top, but it's still fine on the bottom. So we're going to leave that just the way it is. It actually has some nice character to it, the way they stamped that. It's kind of unique that way. So we'll leave that. Everything else looks good. All the other markings, there was a 56 or whatever it is right there on the corner of the trigger guard. That's still there. That's fine. And I don't know if there was anything else. No, nothing on this side. So that's it for the frame. So the next thing to do on the frame is to grain it. So that's good. I'm leaving the plunger tube on. I'm going to work around the plunger tube. I want to leave that original part on the gun if I can. I'm trying to keep as much original stuff. It's going to be in my way a little bit, but not that bad. I can, you know, by the time you get the safety installed and the slide stop installed, even if my graining, you know, is a little shy running right up to the slide stop, right in that last few thou, the safety and slide stop will hide that. So that's good. Everything else will look great. I'd rather leave that tube alone if possible. So that's it for the frame. We did the grips. We boiled the grips and did our tung oil treatment, and they look just absolutely beautiful. They came out just gorgeous. Look how nice that is. Once again, it's that boiling. That boiling is just unbelievable. I mean, this is a pretty nice set of grips to start with, but so the backside, you know, came out a lot cleaner. Not that I was that worried about the backside, but the front looks good. It really looks nice. The one grip had a fairly good dent in it, so it did raise quite a bit in the boiling, so it looks much better. You can see it right there. I didn't put any filler in it. I wanted to leave that just with a little bit of character in there. Leave that with one dent in there. So, but everything else came out really good. Once again, it's a beautiful set of grips. So that's it for them. Then I had the slide, and I showed it to you, the little bit of weld I had done in a couple spots. I did a couple of little detail welds right there on the serrations. You can see them, not much. And then they welded those, we had those little chips in the metal right on the edge. You can see it right there, and you can see it right there. You can see those little, where I had it built up. Well, then after I got it welded, I had to send it out and get it annealed. So that's what it looks like when it comes back from the annealing, because they throw it in an oven and they make it red hot, and then they cool it very slowly. So this was red hot, you know, 24 hours ago. But the inside now is, everything's starting to rust, so I've got to get it sandblasted right away. I just got this back from the heat treater, so it looks pretty sad, but that's okay. When it's all done, it'll be worth waiting for. And I'll clean up those serrations, and all the markings on this were just superb. So I'll go ahead and get this blasted and cleaned up, and then I'll grain it, and I'll have to replace the front sight, but no biggie. So that's that for the slide. Now I've started graining some of these smaller parts. Let's have a look at them. I got the mainspring housing, so that came out good. Now this being a 1918, I gave it a coarser grain than the last one. I think the last one you saw I did was a 1913, and that had a 60 grit graining. This has got a 40 grit graining, so you can see it's quite pronounced, and that's proper for 1918. So we got the trigger. Once again, we got a nice graining on that. That turned out really good. Looks good. Parts were in real nice shape to begin with, so it wasn't it wasn't a terrible chore to do it. There's the mag catch. I think you can see the graining in that. See what direction that's running in. So that'll look good against the frame, especially if the graining runs in a slightly different direction. So it was such a nice contrast. I love that graining. There's the barrel bushing. You see the graining running off at an angle there. I went around, I did all the edge, cleaned the edge up real good, so that all looks good. You don't see any other part of it, so I didn't waste the customer's money graining parts that don't matter. But you can see that. I mean, that's really a good, beautiful, heavy grain. That's going to look awesome when that gets blued. What else? We did the barrel. The barrel, you just really got to do the hood on it. That's all it really shows. And it's an HP. It had the right barrel in it, so that's really nice. So the graining didn't diminish the HP or anything, so that looks really good. I'm real happy with that. That looks excellent. So what else we got? We got the hammer. I did the hammer. I did the sides. Sides are pretty noticeable. Looks like a couple of little faint scratches running off that way. I'll go back in and grain this a little bit better. Sometimes when you put it back in the vise or something to do another area, then you scratch it a little bit. I try to only work with plastic jawed vices, but sometimes you still get a little mark. But I'll go back in and regrain it. We're not ready to blue it quite yet. The top looks good. That turned out really good. See a nice graining in there. And the bottom, made sure I did it the same way as Colt did it. So that all looks good. Anything down here is not visible, so once again I didn't worry about it. But did all around the edge and the back side. So that's going to look great. That's exactly the finish it should have on it. What else we got? We got the extractor. Now once again, the extractor, I only got to do the back end of the extractor. That's it. There's nothing else that's visible, nothing else that shows, so that's going to be just beautiful. It's going to look good against that frame, back of that frame. What else we got? We got the grip safety, so that come out nice. Got nice graining in there. So once again, that's 40 grit, so it's going to be really pronounced, running all exactly the way it should be running. So that's going to look good. Make sure I did the sides. I got good graining on the sides. You can see that even down here. A little bit of that's visible when it's in the gun. So that's that for that piece. What else we got? Oh, this piece really turned out nice. There's the safety. Well, I spent a little bit of time on that one, trying to duplicate exactly how they did it. So it come out good. I'm real happy with that. Cleaned up all the edges, so everything's nice. That's going to look gorgeous. Look at that. Look at that beautiful graining on that piece. Wow. It's going to be a nice one. Slide stop too, I put a lot of extra time into that. Make sure that looks, look at that. That's just going to be superb. Cleaned up all the edges, went all the way around the edges, cleaned them all up. They look good. Made sure I got underneath. Got that all nice and detailed. So she's a good looking piece now. That's a really nice, yeah, that's going to look good blued. And I did the four grip screws. If I can get a good focus on that or not, but they look good. I spun them in the Bridgeport and just put a little bit of graining in them, so they look really good. That'll look excellent when it's all reblued. Screw heads are all nice. I repaired any little marks, although they were pretty nice. And the last piece that I have grained or polished up or whatever is the magazine lock, magazine catch screw or lock, whatever you want to call it. Once again, I don't know if we can get that to show, but we've got graining in that too a little bit, not much, but so that's going to look awesome. And the other thing I wanted to show you too, the back sides of all the of the slide stop. I polished that because that back end is going to show on the other side of the frame. So I just did the very part that sticks out. I did all the pins, the back sides of all the pins, so everything's going to look really good. Even the safety, same thing. I did the very tip of the safety so that when it sticks through the frame, it's going to look nice. So anyway, so that's it, and we should get this thing wrapped up here, oh geez, within a few days. So I'm going to start on this slide today. This is for the 1918 Colt. You can see all them beautiful markings, so I got to be careful not to jeopardize any of that. I had the serrations welded up just a little bit. You can see I've just started on them. I had like 3 of them done, 1, 2, and 3. So I just started filing and cleaning them up. I figured I'd get a shot of that before I really got into it. You can see all the serrations are all just filled with filings, iron filings. But it's, you got to be so careful though. You know, you can't go up top there too much and make them any longer. You got to be really careful not to tip the file. And if you do, then you got to kind of dress them all up a little bit to that same new height. So it's tricky. You can't change the angle. So and then over here we had those 2 chips. So that's once again some of that really nice laser welding. You can see that. So I'll go ahead and get those cleaned up. There's very little damage on this slide. There was a little area on the top that I'll show you in a little bit where the dovetail was kind of distorted a little bit, so I went ahead and fixed that. But we'll get to that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to get this side done. So I'll keep you in the loop as I'm working away on it. So we're a little further along now on these serrations, and you can see that's coming in pretty close. If I angle my camera, you can see it's we're getting real close. We're just right in the bottom, in the very bottom. You can see just a little tiny bit of weld. I got to get right into that crack, but we're getting real close now. I just wanted you to have a look at it before I got too much further along, but they're just about done, and I'll go over all of them just to clean them up a little bit, but at least I'm getting the ones that were damaged looking good again. So we'll see how much better I can make them look in another few minutes. Alright, so I've been working on these 2 spots here. So I got them pretty much level as far as this way. Everything is nice and level this way. Now I just have to go in and make them level this way. They stick down a little bit because we had them, you know, built out. The serrations are looking really good. A little bit of dust in them right now, a little bit of filings, but they look good. You can't even tell really which ones were fixed anymore. And a little bit right, I see a little bit right here. See right there. I can actually feel it with my pointer. I just got to go into that crevice a tiny bit more and just eat the weld right out of that little crack. But other than that, that's good. I just went over them real quick just to freshen them up. You can see they're all good along the top. They're all even. Good on the bottom. So it's got a nice sharp feel to it now. Feels good again. So I'm just going to clean up the those couple spots right there, and that's it for all the welded repairs we had. Then I'll just start going over this carefully and working out any little minor pits, of which there aren't many. But so we'll get this thing cleaned up here. Should be able to have this thing wrapped up today. So we got this side all done now. We filed it, and then I stoned it, and then I blocked it with a little hard block and some 180 grit. So it's beautiful. Any pitting there was very minor. That's all out. That bottom edge now is just razor sharp all the way along this edge. It's just beautiful now. There's no more little issues, chips, nothing. So it looks just mint. The lettering is gorgeous. Didn't compromise the lettering at all. It's still nice and deep. Now the serrations, I've just given them a preliminary file. I've got to go back in and do them a little bit better, but I'm waiting until I get the graining done, because lots of times when you grain, especially when you start getting up to this edge here or that edge there, it's very easy for the graining tool to just touch the serrations, and it knocks the sharp edges off. So then I go back in and I hand file them again for the very last time before it gets blued. So that's the last thing you see is nice sharp serrations. So this side is done, so that's good. That came out real good, and that was the worst side. So the rest of this should be a cakewalk. So we'll proceed and see how it moves along. So we got the left side of this slide basically metal finished. We still have to do our graining, but that's basically done. I started going underneath there a little bit on that part, clean that up a little bit underneath, so that looks good. I'll detail that a little bit nicer yet, but it's coming. And the other side I'm just going to get going on, and we'll see what we can make that look like. And now we've just started on the right side. I've just started with a stone, a sanding stone, a sharpening stone like you'd sharpen a knife with basically. I used a file, a nice sharp little 3-cornered file, and I went in just clean them serrations up a little bit. And then I just started stoning these flat sides. You can see areas now where the stone hasn't quite touched it yet. So I'll take that down a little bit more until we got a good straight surface. And I started graining. Really, that underneath didn't really have any issues, so I actually started graining that just to see how that's going to come along. And that's going to look good. That's coming along really good. So anyway, I'll get this side cleaned up, get it done. Once again, markings are beautiful. No real pitting that we can see. So just a matter of taking that down a thou just to get back into nice straight metal. And we'll get this thing wrapped up. So we'll have both sides done here shortly. Alright, so we got both sides of this 1918 slide done now. And both sides are just absolutely beautiful. You get a good focus there. You can see everything behind these serrations. That little area is nice. The serrations I've gone over quickly. I'll detail them just a little bit better right at the very end, but that's improved them quite a bit. And then the sides themselves, any little issues, marks, pits, anything, you can see how nice and deep that lettering still is. Those welds are all taken care of now. We got that edge all repaired, so that looks good. So that side is mint, perfect. Now we've been working on this side. We got this side done. You can see behind the serrations is good. Serrations are all nice. And then this side itself turned out really good. It was nice and pit-free basically. I mean, some minor stuff, but really nothing of any concern. There's nothing now. So that's all 100 grit on a block. So I just have to go back in now with my graining tool and grain the two sides. But before I do that, I want to get the top done now. I want to get everything in 100 grit. So I'm ready to start on the top. The top's pretty nice. There was a bit of an issue here where when they had installed the sight, it raised the metal on both edges of the dovetail, and it looked kind of funny. So after I removed the sight, I just took a hammer and I gently talked to the metal and got it back down to where it should be, so at least it's not, I won't be filing all that metal away. We'll put it back where it was. If it flares back up a bit, once we reinstall the rear sight, oh well, so be it. But I want to try and preserve as much metal as I can. So once again, the top is just beautiful. You know, just a couple of very minor, not even pits hardly. We'll get that taken care of. I think I saw a couple little marks around the ejection port, but not bad. I'll detail that up like I usually do. And then we'll get that top all done. And once that's done, then we can grain the whole thing. So I'm eager to get going on that. Getting a little uncooperation here again. See if I can get a good shot again. There we go. And then once it's all grained, then I have to fabricate a front sight, and then we'll install a front sight, and we'll have that slide all done. So getting close on that slide now. I haven't done anything at the back end there at all. So we'll get the top done right now, and we'll see what that looks like in a little while. So I've got all the preliminary metal work done on this 1918 Colt slide. And by that I mean all the little dings and dents, any welding we had done, that's all been taken care of. So both sides are done now as far as the preliminary cleaning up. Right side, left side, right side, it's all done. Everything looks good. There's no more pits or chips or gouges or scratches, nothing. It's as clean as the day Colt made it. And now I've got the top done too. There were a few just, minor little issues. That dovetail was a little bit buggered up, so I worked on that a bit, got that looking really good. But you can see on the top now there's no issues, no scratches, gouges, nothing. So now all I've got to do is I'm just going to go underneath there a little bit, and well, I guess I can start graining that. Actually, I've already experimented a little bit just to see how I could get that to look. But the rest of it I can start graining now. I've got to do a little bit on the back end, not much, just going to pass a file over that, clean that up a little bit. I see a couple minor little issues. And then on the very, very front we might have to just talk to it a little bit. So that's about it. Front and rear, get them into 100 grit, then I can start graining. So we should have this done today. So that's good. That's another important part coming right along. Alright, so we're down to the last piece on this 1918 Colt that needs some attention. It's been bead blasted. If I get a operation little focus on there. There we go. Alright, so it's been bead blasted, degreased and bead blasted, and it's a pretty good mag. It was two-toned. You can still see faintly, you can kind of still see that it used to be two-toned. I'll make sure we re-two-tone it when we're done with it. But the graining on it is fairly weak, and it's got you know, a fair amount of pitting right there on the toe, as you can see right there. So I'll go ahead and regrain this mag. It should be grained anyway. It's a tiny, tiny bit of corrosion, might be hard to see, just starting to creep around the top edge of that toe too. So good time to catch all this. Like I say, it was a good thing that this gun got restored, because that rust would have just keep eating it away. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get that done. There's a couple of minor dents, and there's no way I can get to that bottom dent. I can't reach down that far. I might be able to get down, you know, if I come in through the top here with a pry bar, I might be able to talk that dent out of there a bit. But that dent, we're not going to get that one out of there. That one's going to be visible after it's grained. There's nothing I can do about that. But it won't affect the function, just that it will not be cosmetically perfect. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and do the graining on that one and get that done, and we'll see what she looks like. So we've got all the graining done now on this 1918 Colt. I completed the mag and the frame and the slide, and I fabricated the front sight, grained it, and grained the rear sight. It had the original rear sight, which was in good shape. The mag, as you remember, it didn't have a lot of graining left in it, so we went in and we cleaned that up, and we gave it some nice graining, so that's going to look good once it's blued. This was two-tone, so we'll make sure we two-tone it again. I pointed that ding out earlier that I told you I wouldn't be able to get that ding out, and same with that little wee tiny, tiny ding over right on the edge there. I couldn't quite get that out, and there's not much left. You can just see it. But that other ding that was in here, that's gone. I was able to raise that and get it out of there. So, and even this one is not, you know, as noticeable as it used to be. So that's good. So that should look real good once that's blued. And then after it's blued, then we'll go in and we'll two-tone it. And so that'll be nice. Glad to get that one done. That's the right type of mag for this gun. Didn't have any numbering or letters or anything at the very toe down there. I did have some pitting, if you remember, so we got rid of that. So that all looks good now. You'd never know that was damaged. So we'll get that done, get that blued. Everything's ready to go out and get blued. What else we got? We got our frame. So the frame now is basically done. All this is basically done. I mean, before it goes in and gets blued, I'll go over everything very carefully, and there's a few odd stray little scratches I'm not crazy about that, you know, I'll have to touch up, but basically we're here. So that's 40 grit on the side of the frame. I did the plunger tube running in the other direction just to kind of give it some contrast. You can see the inspector's mark is still looking fine. Everything's looking good. You can see where the graining changes from running up and down. All on this lower area, it runs, you know, in up and down direction until just below the mag catch, and it changes direction. You can see that pretty clearly there. If I get a good focus, it changes direction to horizontal at that point. So that's interesting. I make sure I do it the same way they did it. So that's good. The grip hides most of that. You don't even really see that transition very much. And there's that 56 again. So I didn't diminish that. You can see the graining along the edge of the trigger guard. And underneath the dust cover, you can see how the graining runs exactly as it should. Like I said, there's a few odd little stray scratches that I need to detail a little bit better, but I'm just kind of showing you that we're basically coming down the home stretch on this now. You can see the bottom of the trigger guard. It's got the graining the way it should be, and it runs right up the trigger guard and flows right into the grip, into the dust cover. So that's how that all should be. You can see how all that graining is running. And then same thing, it runs along the trigger guard, and then it just sweeps right down into the grip strap. So just a little few odd stray scratches I can see there that I don't like, that I'll go in and clean up. This side, same way, all the scratches are running vertically until just below the mag catch, and then they change to a horizontal direction. So everything on the side looks really, really good. We didn't lose any nomenclature or sharpness through the graining. Everything is just right. The frame at the top, you can see the frame, how the graining runs left to right, which is exactly how it should be, and same all the way down the edge of the frame. You know, in this area here, it runs from left to right, all the way down, all the way down this edge here. It runs left to right. So that's good. That'll be exactly how it should be. And that'll be a nice contrast then to the mainspring housing. So that'll look good. So that's it for the frame. And now let's have a look at the slide. You hadn't seen anything done on the slide. So now that's totally done. That's all grained, and that came out just beautiful. If I can get a good focus on there. There we go. You can see just how nice that graining looks. I didn't worry about the rear serrations right now. The graining tool touched it in a couple spots, and that's normal. It's hard to avoid. But the very last thing is then the serrations will be refiled and sharpened back up. So we've got the graining running there. This slide still has to go in and be rehardened, so I'm going to actually be graining it yet one more time. When it gets hardened, the graining that's in there right now that I put in there will kind of be locked in there. So when it comes back, I just have to bead blast it to clean it up from the heat treating. You see how when they come back they're all burnt looking, so they got to be cleaned up. So we'll get that done and regrain it then at that point. You can see once again all the U.S. Army nomenclature is just nice and crisp and sharp. We didn't lose anything. That's that nice 40 grit graining in there again. On the top of the slide, it's running the direction it should be. So that's really nice. You can see how nice and clean the top of that is now. So there's no issues now. That's going to look gorgeous once it's blued. And the front of the slide has some nice graining in there, so that's going to really be nice against the bushing. It's going to be a nice contrast. And the back of the frame has the graining running left to right, just like I showed you on the back of the frame. So the slide and the frame will match each other now. So that's it for the slide. This is the side I had the welding done in the serrations. You can see the serrations are actually starting to rust again, so it's a good thing to... I keep this thing drenched in WD-40, but still tries to rust on us. Once I get it hardened, rehardened and blued, then we'll be good to go. But it's going to get bead blasted again anyway, so it'll be cleaned up. So that's it for the slide, other than maybe a little touch up in a couple spots. We have to install, I had to make it, and we have to install it yet. I had to make that front sight from scratch. So we'll get that front sight in there, and I don't know if I can drop it in there right now. There you go. So there you be. So there's the new front sight. That's going to look good. It's grained and everything. So that's that for that. And then the last piece I want to show you is the rear sight. So it had the proper, correct rear sight. So I've cleaned it up and I put some graining in that. So that's going to look beautiful as well. So that's it. That's the whole pistol. Basically, I showed you the other parts earlier. I'll send the slide out, get the slide rehardened. I'll regrain it, and then I'm going to just throw the pistol together in its raw state. We all like to see that, and then it gets blued. So stay tuned, and we'll see how it moves along. Thanks. So we got this 1918 Colt all finished as far as metal finishing. Got all the graining, all the pits have been removed. So it's going in for bluing, but I always like to pre-fit them one last time before they go in for bluing, just to kind of make sure everything's going to fit good and there's no issues. We don't want to be fighting and playing with parts once they're blued. So this is our last opportunity to check it over and make sure everything fits good and there's no problems, no interference with any other parts. Plus it's just a nice opportunity to see it in this kind of brushed stainless look that I personally like. And the customer even requested I do this, so obviously he likes it too. A little bit of cold blue leaking out. I cold blew under the rear sight before I installed it, so there's a little bit of cold blue came out onto the outside, but that won't be any problem once this gets reblued. I just like to make sure there's something underneath there. So everything is done now. Last time you saw it, the slide hadn't been done, but now that's been completed, and once again it's just got absolutely stunning graining. I made sure to duplicate that just as authentically and accurately as I could. You can see all the markings are preserved beautifully. There haven't been any issues at all. Nothing was compromised. The serrations, I went back in after I was done all the graining. I went back in and filed all those serrations so you can see that they're all nice and even. They look good. You can see the way the light reflects off of them. Once again, there's a tiny little bit of cold bluing got in there from my fingers when I installed the rear sight, but you can see those serrations are nice too. So by doing them the very last, they stay nice and sharp. That way there's no they're just as sharp as could be. There's no chance of me hitting them from doing the graining. So I do the graining first and then the serrations last. So you see just a little bit of debris in the serrations there, but that'll clean right up. So there we go, that's it. And that looks really good. That's that 40 grit graining, so that looks just right for this thing. And I went in and tried to do some machining like they did underneath that edge there. Underneath that edge and underneath that edge. Sorry. Underneath that edge right in here. Try and make it look like they had done it. I've studied a lot of examples and a lot of photographs, and you can see the contrast in the machining there. I made sure it went in two different directions so it really shows off that machining. So, and of course under there we got that nice contrast between the graining running one way on the frame and then runs another way on the slide, so it's kind of a nice contrast there too. So you can see the graining runs all the way around the trigger guard like it should, and blah blah blah. So it's exactly how it should be. It's another one I've got completed now. I really enjoy doing these grained ones. So everything on the back is good. All the graining on the mainspring housing, you see how that's nice and crisp. On the grip safety, on those rear frame horns, they're running all in the right direction, matches the back of the frame. The extractor's got graining, the rear sight's got graining, so it's all, and of course the top of that slide looks really nice. That's that HP barrel in there, so that's got graining too. So that's it. I just wanted to give one last look. Oh, and there's the front sight. I made the front sight from scratch. You can't buy these. And I installed it, and then I cold blued underneath it just to be sure, just to be safe. So that's all peened in place and good to go. So just a little bit of cold blue, around the edge of it. That's what you're seeing there. But that's it. So all my edges, all my lines are good. Every piece is grained properly. You see the nice graining on that slide stop there. All our inspector's marks are good. All the nomenclature is good. I saved everything. There's no diminishing of any markings. So I'm real happy. Those grips we boiled and cleaned them up. So I can't wait to see this thing in blue. It's going to look really nice. There's that safety that it's got graining going in a couple different directions. So that's going to look good. I even grained the plunger tube. So that's it. I'm going to send that in. Get that done probably tomorrow. And then I've got the mag here. The mag's already done. It's been grained too. Now this is a two-tone mag, as we remember. It doesn't show any evidence right now of it being two-tone. Sometimes you can kind of see even in the bare metal, but not on this one. But the graining, once again, is exactly how it should be. Just like it should be. So runs just like that way there. So I'm real happy with that. That's exactly what we were looking for. So a couple of minor dings in it that I couldn't quite get out. I couldn't reach down far enough. Like one there kind of bugs me, but you can't get to it. So, but he'll live with it. He said he'd be fine. So anyway, so that's that for that. So we got that done, and that's our 1918 Colt. So we'll go ahead and get that blued, and we'll let you see it in a little bit. So there we go. That's what we've been waiting for. That's what all our efforts conclude with. Nice, shiny, blue-black Colt. We love them. Never get tired of doing these. So that's it. She's ready to ship back. This one's from Connecticut. Jeff in Connecticut. Appreciate it. Thank you. It's the second job I've done for Jeff now. I did a 1943 Ithaca for him, maybe a year ago. I made a video on it. So now he's decided to get a World War I example. He's got the World War II, and now he'll have a nice World War I example. So if I bring it up close, you can plainly see all the nice graining in that metal. All those serrations are nice and sharp. The serial number, everything stayed beautiful. So I'm real happy with that. There's not a thing about it I don't like. But I wouldn't let it go. It wouldn't go out the door if it wasn't right. So I think you can see, if I move in even closer, you can see all that graining that I spend all that time doing. That's what really distinguishes these World War I guns from the later ones. It's a little more challenging. It's a little more rewarding. You know, the World War II guns are sandblasted and parkerized. And I mean, you still got to be careful, and you still got to know what you're doing when it comes to the metal finishing and the pit repair. But they don't have this nice metal finish, and we've really come to, at least I have, I've come to appreciate that quite a bit. So it just looks great. Gives it so much more character. And you can just see the workmanship that went into it, you know. I mean, mind you, this isn't World War I workmanship we're looking at, but I've done my best to duplicate what they've done and do this thing justice. So I'm privileged to be able to work on these things, that people entrust them to me. Especially if one's far away, they ship them all the way to me. So I want to make sure that we get them the way they should look. There's that HP barrel. But that graining is just really the, you know, distinguishing feature. And that's what gives me the most amount of, I thought that was a scratch, but it's just oil. That's what gives me the most amount of challenge, but the most amount of enjoyment when it's all done. So that's good. I'm happy with everything, as you can see, and the markings are beautiful. That front end part is just gorgeous. I like that that graining. How we get that different. Get a little focus here. Like how we get that graining going in the two different directions. There we go. That's nice. That really gives it a raw, look at that, gives it just such a raw, right out of the mill look. That's what distinguished these early, especially the 1918s. You know, their metal finishing was, their graining was a little bit rougher than the earlier ones, a little bit more pronounced, almost sloppier in a way, but not really, but just a coarser grain. The earlier ones with a tighter grain looked a little bit finer, like they were finer machined, whereas these look a little bit rougher. You can see they were in a bit of a rush to try and get them done, to get them out into the field. I mean, there was a war raging. We weren't too worried. Who was worried about making them pretty at that point? So that inspector's mark there just stayed nice and clear. Graining on that slide stop is beautiful. So that's it. I'm thrilled to death with it. Get a good shot of that again. So that's what all my labor goes into, is to try and get that to look just like that. So anyway, that's it. I'm quite happy with that. United States property. That all came out nice. It was stamped a little bit heavier on the top than it was on the bottom, so I was careful when I did my graining to not diminish anything. You can see everything else looks good. that slide stop. You can see the graining in it. Oh, there you go. You can really see the graining in it now. So that's it. I'm happy. Another one completed. Send this one back in a couple of days. I'm just enjoying it for a day or two. Show it off. Those are those grips that we reboiled, so they came out nice. There's the grip strap. You remember the grip strap was really most problematic spot on this particular gun. It had pitting, and rightfully so, you know, from your hand wearing off the bluing and then the sweat and everything attacking the bare metal. And it only looked discolored. You couldn't actually see any pitting. So a novice would easily say, oh yeah, well my gun doesn't have any rust. But they all have rust, just you haven't noticed it yet. So anyway, that's about it for that. You know, we did all the screw heads. They all look nice. They look new again. So I try to not miss a beat. Try to make sure I get it all, you know, your money's well spent here. I do even do the ends of all the pins so they show up nice and shiny and original like they should. So anyway, that's about it for this one. A review of that one. Oh, I did the mag too. The mag is two-tone. A little bit of oil on there, but two-toned the mag, so that all looks good. That's the graining on there. So it's beautiful. I'm real happy with this one. So we're going to ship this back to Connecticut and let Jeff play with it. Who knows what else he's got up his sleeve. Might have other projects for me. But anyway, that's it for that. I hope you all enjoyed it. Once again, I had a blast doing it. It's sad to actually let them go. I miss them when they leave the shop. But there's always something new to play with. So anyway, I'm glad you all followed along, and catch me on the next one.